Dariel is a soldier in the Dark Lord's army who, unlike others, is incapable of using magic. Instead, he uses his intelligence and leadership skills to help one of the Dark Lord's most reputable captains. However, when the captain is abruptly replaced, Dariel loses his powerful status and is fired. After being disappointed over such a treatment, he retires in a human village where he resumes his life and carries on by accepting requests for assistance. While the demon army suffers as a result of Dariel's absence, the latter adapts to human life but is conflicted by his demon upbringing, as humans and demons have been at odds for centuries. How can he play his part to resolve or end this conflict? Let's find out. The story opens and we see a young man being told he is fired by a group of conniving-looking council members who seem to be quite pleased with the decision. When the man asks if it means he can no longer continue his duty of being an assistant to the four generals, Lord Bashvaza responds by degrading him and correcting his misunderstanding. He isn't just getting deprived of his position, but he is getting kicked out of the demon army as a whole. The man's name is revealed to be the Dark Soldier, Dariel, and the reason for him getting fired is because of his inferior bloodline and incapability to use magic. While Dariel is getting told that since he has the lowest rank possible, it is a surprise that he was an assistant to the four generals in the first place. While everyone is busy discrediting and humiliating him, there seems to be a female council member who seems to be rather unnerved by whatever is taking place. Still, she delivers zero expressions and chooses to stay quiet. One of the council members emanates fire from his hand and turns it into a dragon while calling Dariel pathetic since he couldn't even do this basic trick, not now and not even as a child. Having had enough, Dariel respectfully reminds them that he was entrusted with a special mission by Lord Garbanza, who was one of the former four generals. This results in fire getting thrown at his face. Lord Bashvaza reminds Dariel that his father, Lord Garbanza, retired long ago and therefore, his wishes and aims are meaningless now. Unlike Lord Garbanza, Lord Bashvaza is not generous enough to keep a non-magic user in the Demon King's army as he would only prove to be a hurdle. Dariel isn't the type to rant endlessly over how his dismissal is unfair. He lowers his face and with a stern expression decides to leave. Also politely, while carrying his stuff on his way out of the castle, he ponders over the wise old words of the four generals. Apparently, the only difference between the human race and the demons is the ability to use magic, which Dariel clearly lacks. So what is a demon without magic, other than useless? Therefore, he admits that he can't really blame the council members. In going from being the Dark Soldier Dariel to just another Dariel, the first step is to find a new way to live. After serving the Demon Kingdom for 30 years, he feels utterly purposeless, so he wanders off into a random forest for days until he starts feeling death kicking in. This is when he notices a lady getting chased by a monster and being the gentleman he is, or a gentle demon. Whatever, he decides to rescue her. Since he doesn't even know basic fire magic and hasn't eaten food for days, the only logical option for him is to just ram himself into the creature head-on. Obviously, he gets smashed into the air. Instead of using brawn, he retorts to using his brain like he always has. He notices some human weapons nearby, and although he knows that, being a demon, this is the lowest level he could stoop to, he still chooses to use the blade. At first, he finds it hard to even remember the stance of holding a human weapon, but then instincts trigger, causing him to lunge at the monster, slicing through his heart. The girl, named Marika, thanks him for the help and compliments him by saying that his moves are similar to humanity's last hero. Although calling a demon humanity's hero was more like an insult to Dariel, he lets it slide. This is when she drags him to her village to repay him by treating him to a delicious dinner, something he clearly couldn't turn down. Dariel realizes that he is in the enemy territory, so every breath he breathes is with caution. When he gets asked about his reason for being in the forest, he tells them everything that is true except the part where everyone he is talking about is a demon. His story moves Marika to the core and she offers him to come stay with them. To his surprise, both parents naively agree, showing how easily demons could infiltrate them if one wanted to. Marika's father reveals that he is a guild master and wants Dariel to become an adventurer and use his physique and intelligence to kill monsters. Dariel knows that only humans can pass the registration phase and this could potentially blow his cover. While he is in the middle of searching for a route to escape, Marika and her father use his blood to complete the registration process. Dariel is dumbfounded when he realizes that he actually passed. Either the guild registration process has flaws or he was never really a demon. He remembers that he was found by Lord Garbanza when he was young and has served the demon army ever since. Being brought up in the demon world, he never questioned his origins. Getting fired has really turned everything he has ever known upside down. It doesn't just end there. Dariel isn't just another human, he is one of the strongest humans to exist. This becomes obvious when the next day Marika's dad decided to train him as an adventurer, but soon realizes that this guy already excels in every form there ever was. After getting frustrated, he challenges Dariel in a duel in which he uses a humongous iron hammer and Dariel, a wooden shield. The results aren't any different as Dariel stands in his position, unscathed. Considering Dariel's rare abilities, he suggests that the former shouldn't be here and should register in the topmost guild. But when Dariel sees Marika shed a tear, he chooses to stay and start his second life in this village. Dariel has been making a name in the guild by killing monsters here and there, although he prefers peaceful jobs like herbs collection. His newfound recognition has frustrated some of the guild members, especially Geshida, who takes on a difficult mission just to prove himself to be better than Dariel. After he leaves, the guild master upgrades Dariel's rank. Soon after that, Marika comes running down the stairs to accompany Dariel on his quests and show him around the village. Although he tells her that walking around the forest is too risky for her, Marika insists that she is simply repaying him by helping in his quests. She also shares her dream of always wanting to become an adventurer, and the first time they both met was when she was looking for herbs for an old woman as part of a quest. To avoid getting separated in the forest, Marika suggests holding hands and Dariel straight up refuses. But if she could drag him to the village on their first encounter, she could probably do it again. So, they hold hands until they arrive at the location of the herbs. She gives him the details about how to select the right ones and then continues to casually lift up the entire bark of a tree, much to Dariel's shock. Marika traces deer tracks while Dariel has a hard time even locating them. He assumes that this probably comes naturally to her being the guild master's daughter. This prompts him to ask her if she could have easily managed to handle the monster he killed on their first encounter. At this, she reveals her fear of fighting, which is why even though she is stronger than an average person, she can't defeat monsters. Then, as if totally changing the subject of the conversation, she requests him to drop the honorifics and hugs him when he doesn't oblige. This is when they spot a cute-looking deer whose eyes turn red at the sight of a monster. Both of them start fighting, and Marika remarks while pulling out her blade that they will make a delicious dinner. The deer, the monster, and the herbs are presented before the villagers, who applaud the versatility of Dariel. It turns out that this was the monster Geshida had been planning to capture. Enraged, he leaves the village immediately. Days pass by and Dariel gets used to the life of the village while Geshida's jealousy bottles up. Eventually, the guild master reveals that the latter has taken on a serious mission of capturing a blazed death scythe, which should only be dealt with by adventurers that are C-ranked or higher. Although, another guild close by that has more experienced adventurers has gathered to contain the threat. It is important to stop Geshida from entering their territory, or it would be a violation of the law. Dariel volunteers to bring him back and departs in the rainy weather. It doesn't take him long to run into Geshida, who is crying and running away from the gigantic monster. Dariel releases his aura to fight Deathscythe, but it seems to have its eyes set on Geshida. Although Dariel manages to slash the creature, the cut isn't deep enough. The monster hits Dariel with its tail and crushes his sword into little pieces. That's when he takes his time to strategize and combine two of his attacks. He throws a piece of blade inside the creature's mouth and uses his aura to blow him up from the inside. Although the monster has been taken care of, Geshida has a bite mark on his leg and it seems poisonous. Dariel uses everything he learned about herb collection to help save Geshida. The latter always considered herb quests to be a worthless job, so this served as a lesson for him to realize nothing is pointless. Ever since their venture against Deathscythe, Geshida starts following Dariel around and refers to him as his big bro. As annoying as Geshida might be, there is something more bothersome for Dariel, and that is Marika and her ever-growing skinship. Things seem to be going pretty smoothly until one day Dariel stumbles upon one of the hidden secrets of the village. He realizes that most of the houses are empty, so he asks the mayor about it. The mayor reveals that right in front of this village lies a mine of metal called mithril that is of immense significance to demons as well as humans. However, the demons won the territory, and ever since then, the village that was once full of life has continued to experience a decline. Dariel recalls that the mithril mine once used to be his workplace, so he decides to give it a visit. However, he knows that he would be risking getting captured if he goes as himself, so he hides inside a wooden box nearby. He knows that his disguise is super pathetic, and this is what confuses him because no one has noticed him so far, and manages to infiltrate deep into the mine. He notices dwarf-like creatures called knockers working inside the mine and calls them out by their name. They complain that ever since he left, all the demons were relieved of their duties, the demand for supply of mithril increased, and the entire burden was placed on the knockers' shoulders. Dariel ponders over the fact that he isn't in a position to help knockers, and this is when soldiers arrive to collect mithril. Dariel observes from afar that the new commander is outright brutal and just another sycophant of Lord Bashvaza that he has never seen before. One of the knockers loses his calm and attacks the commander. This results in a whole rebellion of knockers against the demon army. When the army starts chanting some spells, Dariel steps in because he knows the destruction that might ensue from this. However, he hides his face with a piece of cloth that turns out to be one of the knockers' underwear. He plans on distracting the soldiers to make them unable to finish their chants. When one of the men chooses to kick the knockers away instead of using the dangerous spells on them, Dariel realizes that these soldiers aren't bad at heart and are just following orders. Dariel uses the opportunity to remind them of their oath of never killing a non-combatant, since in this case knockers are simply craftsmen with zero experience in combat. When his plan fails, the commander orders the soldiers to use their spells simultaneously to get rid of Dariel, not knowing the fact that the latter already has all the spells memorized. So he deactivates them one by one depending on the length of the spell. He goes straight for the commander's throat but stops as soon as it is revealed that Lord Bashwaza appointed him just because of their friendship, and he too has zero experience in combat. Dariel scares him away, telling him to never come back, and promises to take the knockers under his wing. Now that the mithril mine is under human control, more people start visiting the village and it again becomes the center of trade activities. Next, Lord Bashwaza is finally given a proper introduction, and his reasons for demanding 4 times of mithril are disclosed. Apparently, to become one of the strongest of the 4 generals that will go down in history, Bashwaza is in the middle of creating a device that is capable of compressing an immense amount of magical energy, which in turn amplifies it, making Bashwaza's spells even stronger. However, for this device to be complete, Bashwaza needs a constant supply of mithril. It seems that he has no idea of the recent occurrence and goes on to say how he loves tormenting the knockers just because Dariel once used to be their commander, signifying his hatred for the latter. This is when he gets informed that the mithril mine has been stolen from the demons and is under the full possession of the humans. Finding it hard to believe what he just heard, the arrogant Lord Bashwaza falls to his knees. To make matters worse for him, he gets informed that someone has lodged a complaint against his actions. Bashwaza is confident that it doesn't matter because he can simply fire whomever it is. That is until he realizes the complaint is from the Demon King himself. The king is revealed to be a little kid who seems to be overpowered but short-tempered. His aura is unbearable for Bashwaza and he gives him an earful for letting the mithril mine get stolen. He wants the latter to stop working on his magical power bomb. To pour salt over his wounds, the king tells him to recruit Dariel again. Once Bashwaza apologizes, the king recalls the accomplishments of Dariel that helped the entire kingdom run smoothly. All of this makes Bashwaza grit his teeth in rage. Once he leaves, the former opens his second eye that he had kept closed all this time to reveal a mystique color, probably showing his immense power level. Meanwhile, Bashwaza destroys a wall in some corner of the castle and fit over why the king mentioned the name of his arch-nemesis. Back in the village, people from other cities have started visiting the village for festivals and stuff. Now that everything seems to have come back to normal, Marika suggests that she and Dariel should have kids together. When Dariel completely brushes off the notion, she repeats herself and asks him to be her fiancé. Before she could finish her sentence though, his attention diverts to Geshida, who is trying to catch beef with a B-ranked adventurer from a superior guild in Campbelltown. He wants them to hand over the entire control of the mines to Campbelltown. Dariel comes to Geshida's defense, and although he tries to keep his cool, he politely reminds Campbelltown representatives of their inefficiency in containing the Blaze Death Scythe. When the B-ranked adventurer, Fitbitten, finds out that Dariel is the one who took down the Death Scythe on his own, he is shocked, especially considering that he is only D-ranked. Therefore, everyone exclaims that Dariel must be a high-ranked adventurer. Fitbitten stands aside mulling over his failure. Later on, the mayor throws a village revival party where Marika, as always, calls Dariel her husband without taking his consent whatsoever. Everything becomes even more chaotic when Geshida jumps in, claiming that he is the one who should marry Dariel. Meanwhile, the negotiations with the knockers aren't going well owing to their trust issues. The negotiator from the Center Guild asks the help of Dariel to make knockers cooperate. With that done, Dariel assumes his work is done. That's when the demons arrive in an attempt to negotiate peace with the knockers to win back the mine. Their head, Rizit, and Dariel are good old friends, so the latter reveals the truth about him being a human. Rizit still insists on recruiting him back to the demon army on the king's orders because everything has started falling apart ever since he left. Although Dariel refuses, he still honors his days in the demon army, so he comes up with a solution that will benefit both parties. He asks the Center Guild to sell mithril to the demons at 4 times the market price. This way, the Demon Kingdom will get their much-needed supply, and the humans will still be at an advantage. The Center Guild requests Dariel to find the old mithril smith workshop in the village and revive it. However, Fitbitten has already set up a Campbell Smith workshop at the location and orders Dariel to go back home and prepare meals for his party. Back at home, Marika complains that an old man who is new in town has been harassing her. Dariel, annoyed, goes to confront him and finds out that the old man is a smith. Marika refuses to believe his statement until he shows a letter of recommendation from the Center Guild. The only problem is that Campbelltown has taken over the only smith workshop available in the area. The old man claims that he has an unmatched convincing power, but Dariel regrets giving him a chance after seeing him beg Fitbitten to let him enter the workshop. Inside the shop, he observes that many workers are not well aware of how meticulously you are supposed to deal with mithril. After following a delicate process, the old man completes the transformation of mithril into a customized sword for Dariel. When Fitbitten realizes the expertise of the old man, he begs him to teach the rest, but the old man is more childish than mature and he ridiculously declines. He later reveals to Dariel that he has always wanted to make something unique using mithril, so he stole some of the metal from the workshop earlier and has built a smith foundry as this home. However, the only missing puzzle piece is that he needs magic to run the workshop. For this purpose, Dariel requests the help of his demon friend, Rizit. Fitbitten attempts to enlist Dariel to the Campbell Guild in order to deny the Center Guild entry to the mine, but Dariel refuses, prompting Fitbitten to challenge the latter to a battle. The only problem is that Fitbitten is a B-ranked adventurer. Fitbitten shows that his smiths have crafted a mithril sword and shield, mocking the dagger made by Old Man Smith for Dariel. Nevertheless, Smith reveals that it is the Hermes blade, which can take on any shape with Dariel's aura, along with the sword and whip. Fitbitten's substandard mithril is shattered, and the Center Guild decides to imprison Fitbitten for defying instructions. But Dariel requests Fitbitten be pardoned if he fixes the houses damaged in their combat, since his intentions were always pure enough for his own town and comrades. When the popular Center Guild offers Dariel a job at their headquarters, Marika overhears the conversation. Dariel later considers the job offer in a sauna,